the 5 colors blind the eye, the 5 tones deafen the ear, the 5 flavors dull the mouth. This is chapter 12 of the Tao Te Ching. And just like in Chinese philosophy, the number 5 is very significant because these are the 5 email flows your e-commerce store must have. And I'm wanting to go a little bit rogue um, in the beginning already. So the number 5 holds significant meaning in Chinese philosophy, mostly because of the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, water. But it's also like the 5 blessings, wu fu, or Wu Jing, for example. But you're not here for Chinese history lessons or philosophy lessons. You're here for the 5 flows. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Abandoned cart. I don't think I need to talk too much about this one. A good abandoned cart recovery rate in e-commerce is 10%. If you try to do anything more advanced, if you have an e-commerce store and you don't have email marketing, you should start with this, with like 2 emails. They should look something like this. I talked millions of times about why this email is good from this 8-figure brand. If you want to know more about the abandoned cart flow, I don't have too much time to discuss this flow here today. Make sure you check my other video. I posted it in a bunch of places on my profiles. I don't know where you're watching this, on Facebook, YouTube, or listening to this as a podcast. Please check the abandoned cart episode. And similarly to this one, the second flow we're going to be mentioning, and mentioning is the keyword here because we're not going to talk too much about it. Welcome flow. Welcome flow. This is the one that is connected to your pop-up. This is the one that is not for buyers yet. That's going to be maybe the next one. Make sure you stay tuned for that one. I made another video about this where I explained this in a lot more detail. So I wanted to focus this video a little bit more on the ones that we don't talk about too much. So yeah, just if you use this as a video or a podcast episode as a checklist, potentially as a Chinese philosophy lesson, then abandoned cart, welcome flow. Third one, post-purchase. So once again, I made another video about this. The reason why these are the 3 flows you want to be starting with first. This is also like maybe not in order of priority, because for example, if you have a subscription brand, let's say you sell beard oil like these guys, then yeah, maybe the post-purchase flow is having more importance because a lot of your money will be coming in from recurring purchases, right? You want, if it's a consumable product like skincare, I don't know, beef tallow honey balm for your face, like that's a really trending product right now, then the post-purchase flow becomes incredibly important. Maybe you can use a tool like Recharge. We're going to make another video about subscription models and like how that affects email marketing. But today we're keeping it simple. And I actually recorded a video about this earlier already, but the audio quality was terrible. So I decided to revisit this and also add a couple new things in there. Because there has been changes. Number 4 is browse abandonment. So I get a bunch of people asking me to, whenever I we have a new client coming in, it happens quite often that someone would want to have really complicated emails, like for example, or email flows like this, for instance. I don't really want to share this like too much, but yeah, and this is actually one of the easier ones. Like you can see there's a branch here that goes all the way here, and then there's going to be something similar there. And it pisses me off because you don't even have a browse abandonment flow. A lot of them don't even have these things set up. How many emails should you have? So I think a good place to start, yeah, maybe like 3-4 emails in abandoned cart. Can be something very simple. You can have discounts. I'm a fan of discounts, not too much, but it just really works in e-commerce email marketing. And in my opinion, it's such a competitive industry nowadays that you want to use all the tools in your arsenal to make extra conversions. There's a really big psychological difference between someone just being a subscriber on your email list versus them being a buyer, right? So you want to use all of that extra incentives. And the same thing with the welcome flow. I think it's good to offer like 10% off in a pop-up. This is super overgeneralized advice, and I don't want to repeat myself too often if you're someone that listened to a bunch of my videos. But simple scales, fancy fails. Welcome flow in this one. So many people make this mistake with this flow. that they tell the subscribers about, like, hey, this is who we are, this is our mission, this is like about, like, they make it into an about us page, the entire email, like super long. And these people don't care because they just want the discount. Okay. However, post purchase flow, whole other story. You want to add, I mean, this is the place if you ever want to, grow your audience, like brand reputation, the relationship you have with your customers. The first email in this one is going to be the one. By the way, please note that you're going to have, if you're, for example, connected to Shopify, you're going to have an automatic Shopify order confirmation email going out as well. And unless you are Shopify Plus subscriber, which usually means you need to make way above 100K per month, usually above 200, I think, then you can enable it, or you can get a little bit creative with it, but otherwise they don't really enable you to change too much about it. And in my opinion, below 100K, that's fine. You don't need to overthink it. If your store makes less than 100K, then like don't worry about change, like customizing the order confirmation page, because it doesn't matter, frankly. So just have that information going out, and then maybe you can have a little bit of a delay between that and the first email going out, just so that they don't get bombarded. But I've seen, like even a 5 minute to an hour delay being super fine. Some people even add a day, but yeah, once again, it also depends on your shipping times and stuff like that. But I would send this email pretty much immediately after purchase, because this is when you have their attention the most. So if you ever want to do anything to get them to buy again, or to get them to get to know you better, or what makes you different, what's your USP, this is the time. Okay, this is where you can get a little bit creative, and maybe you can make the email look nice and all of this. But in my opinion, welcome flow and abandoned cart is purely about results and effectiveness. And let's get practical. And this to me is beautiful. Okay, there is beauty in simplicity. So yeah, let's talk about browser abandonment now. So this is the part where people have visited product pages but they didn't add to carts. So very important flow. How do you have their email address? So multiple ways. I'm glad you asked. uh, if you're watching this video, most likely you're not using, for example, retention.com, because I think they want you to, it's like $500 a month, and they want you to have at least 100K profiles or something along those lines, I think. With that being the case, you could actually, I've seen really good results. Instead of retention.com, customers AI. I've seen that to work. This is, I'm recording this 2025 June. So if you're watching this later, that might have changed. But I've seen pretty good results with customers AI, and it seems to be, for some of my clients, quite a lot better than retention.com. So keep an eye out on for that tool. But if you're under 100K per month, you don't need to worry about this, and just set up a browser abandonment flow for people who are already on your list. So this is how they're going to be receiving this flow. Super simple. And today, to be honest, I didn't want to make this video too long, and I knew that for the fifth flow, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what it isn't. Okay, so like, okay, just take a moment here. I want to make this video interactive. So we've talked about 4 flows so far. All right, abandon the cart, welcome flow for post subscribers, post purchase, browser abandonment. What do you think is the fifth one? This is my opinion, by the way. This is not a. This is a subjective video. All right. So what do you think it is? Do you think it is, oh, I want to recapture people that bought before, but we haven't seen them in a long time? That sounds quite logical, right? Uh, Wrong. So no, it's not the win back flow. It sounds good. Everyone seems to want the win back flow. It's just, sometimes, do you ever think about how there are some things in society that don't actually make sense, but just somehow, because how we are wired as humans, we're animals, so we're not made for all this technological stuff, and we just have these like silly things in our minds that in our heads make sense, and a lot of people speak about them loudly, and then we misinterpret, or maybe they were also wrong. This is one of those times. Okay, I have never seen a good performing win back flow in e-commerce email marketing? Oh man, like maybe maybe you didn't do it right. Maybe you didn't do it right. And yeah, I forgot to do the part about why you should listen to me. So in over 8 years, I helped over 200 e-commerce brands with email marketing, including two Fortune 500 companies. And yeah, we don't do ads, we don't do TikTok, we don't do any of that stuff. I've just been doing email marketing mostly with Klaviyo. And yes, it depends on how you define winback, right? But the default definition of winback is someone that placed an order and then they didn't do anything for 60 days and now you email them again. Here is why I think this isn't the fifth most. You can set it up and you can test it. I'm all for testing. Set up one or two emails and see how they perform. What I would say though is if your open rates are under 20% on these two emails and you sent over 2, 3, 400 and the open rates are below 20% and they don't really make much sales, then kill it. Okay, don't send it because then it's a net negative because it's actually harming your domain reputation without bringing you extra revenue, which is the whole thing about segmentation. Like, everything segmentation doesn't come down to UX or like, oh, like how do we make them feel? uh, Obviously, it's important if you have a really big brand and it comes into your brand equity and all of these things. But at the end of the day, the two criteria which actually do define what sort of experience users have is revenue, like how much money they pay you after seeing that email, and the open rates. That's a pretty good indicator, in my opinion, of how engaged the people are and how often are they opening this email. So if it's something super unrelated to them or not relevant, then they are less likely to open the emails. So if they have a high open rate, we can assume that this is what email was relevant enough. Okay, if it has over 40% open rate, I think the email was relevant. Okay, so no, it's not win-back flow. It's actually the opposite. This win-back flow, I think it comes from some kind of like jealousy tendencies in humans, or like, like the one that got away, or oh, we had them before, like we don't want to lose them, like that type of stuff. Like when someone is really into you, maybe in other areas of life, and then they suddenly like disappear. That hurts your feelings, right? So let's not focus on them. Would be my suggestion. Let's instead focus on VIPs. Let's instead focus on people who actually like you right now. Okay. And there, once again, these flows, it's really gray area how you define them. One thing that I like to do with VIP is like look at the top 10% highest purchasers or highest value subscribers on your list. Figure out a way to do that, and you're there. So maybe that can be placed order at least 3 times, or placed order, I don't know, over like paid us over $1,000. Like very simple example for the average e-commerce store that is like kind of like $50 to $100 average order value. So at that point, if they spend $1,000, that's like a good value VIP subscriber. Maybe it can even be 500. It depends on how you define it. But it just this kind of comes back to just something I learned over time in email marketing, which is let's focus on the people who like us. Let's focus on the people who pay us a lot of money historically. Let's focus on the people who haven't disappeared, who have engaged with us, for example, in the last 60 days. All right. So I'm just talking about like the default settings about everything here. And this is what I've seen. Um, you can, I don't know, take this as, this is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. This is email marketing advice. So this is just what I've seen work. If you've gotten this far in the video, then hit a like, comment, subscribe, all of these good stuff. Love you and have a great day. Hope you crush it today.